All right, so I'm going to walk you through Nicholas Kristoff's top 10 tips for writing op-eds. And the op in op-ed, believe it or not, is not for opinion, but for opposing. That's what that stands for. So Kristoff is a well-regarded editorialist and professional writer. And his first tip is to start with a very clear idea in your mind about the point you want to make. Clear thinking leads to clear writing. If you're clear on what you want to say, okay, that will pave the way to a better editorial. Click Preventing Mass Shootings like the Vegas Strip attack to see an example of a professional editorialist very clearly starting with the point they want to make, right? It's obvious, it comes through here. Borrow this structure for your op-ed if you want. Point 2, don't choose a topic, choose an argument. On death row, but is he innocent? That editorial shows you exactly what Kristoff is suggesting. In this article, the editorial is more about an argument that they're using around a topic instead of finding a topic and then picking an argument about that topic. Point 3, he says start with a bang. Lure that writer in, hook them, right? If Americans love moms, why do we let them die? That title is powerful, that's hooking you. Everybody has a mom. Everybody, loves their mom, or at least would like to love their mom, depending on the situation, of course. So if you start with a bang, if you hook the reader immediately, they'll be excited to read your piece. And if you're excited about writing it, that will translate to the reader. Conversely, if you're not excited about what you're doing, or you're just doing it to do it, it's so obvious and it's painful to read. Point 4, personal stories are often very powerful to make a point. For the most part, you don't insert the first person into professional writing unless it's a memoir or an autobiography, or it is a narrative about the self, or an essay that is a personal one, like for college applications. And when research works, editorials, research papers, etc., you don't need to be afraid to insert the first person if it directly pertains to you, right? Don't be afraid to tell your story or the story of a family member or a friend if it's necessary to include and bolsters your argument. Our brains are wired to feel empathy for a person, not necessarily for a large group of people. So first try to foster empathy and a connection with an individual, and then you can expand to a larger data set. We are tribal beings. That's good because being tribal allows us to hook up with like-minded people and do great things like win national championships or defeat awful Nazis. However, tribalism can also become bad when it becomes like, oh, I hate that other tribe, let's get into a terrible conflict like the foolish Russians and the foolish Vladimir Putin are doing against the Ukrainians. That is an example of tribalism run amok, out of control, chaos for everybody, a terrible thing, of course. But back to Kristoff's point here, if you are directly involved with it, like if I wrote a paper about ankylosing spondylitis, you better believe I would include myself. Otherwise, though, I would not. This is what a refugee looks like. It's a powerful example of using personal stories to make a powerful point. Otherwise, though, don't include yourself. Point 5, if the platform allows it, and ours does, use inserted or hyperlinked photos or videos or music or whatever, as this editorial does, to really bring it to life and make it pop and make it be interesting for readers that are multi-modality readers, just like you are. They like visuals, they like sound bites, podcasts, a little bit of everything to help tell the story. It's 2022, you can use that for your editorial. Point 6, this editorial, Meet the World's Leaders in Hypocrisy, shows you how you don't have to necessarily be overly formal or stodgy. So much of student writing is meant to impress the teacher, and it comes across as overly formal and stodgy as a result. Define this word, I bet most of you don't know it. This editorial does the opposite, right? At certain points, a little informality might be useful. You don't have to be, robotic and super boring, as some people tend to think when they write. Point 7, acknowledge shortcomings in your arguments if you have them. Readers are likely to be aware of them anyways, and this makes you seem open and honest, which of course you want to be as a thinker and writer anyways. This editorial does a nice job of acknowledging the shortcomings in their argument, okay, which can be part of the counterclaim you include. And you're supposed to, in this editorial, include a shortcoming in your argument or some kind of counterclaim that you then rebut or show why it's not valid. Read this editorial to see how to do that. Kristoff's point 8, it's useful to cite an example of what you're criticizing or a quotation from an antagonist because it clarifies the argument that you're making. Anne Frank today is a Syrian girl, shows you an example of what they're criticizing, quotes the antagonistic force, and as a result, it clarifies what the editorialist is up against. It helps their argument as well. Read this to see what I'm talking about and what Kristoff means. Point 9, if you're really trying to persuade people who are on the fence, who are undecided, who are neutral, who are unsure, who are ignorant about the topic you're writing about, then remember their way of thinking may not be your own. Think of the common ground you might have with people who do not agree with you. You want to expand the conversation and lure people in the middle over to your side. Think about your audience and your use of language. For example, an argument about gun control should avoid the term gun control because it is antagonistic to the people who are in favor of carrying guns. Mr. Kristoff uses the term gun safety when he writes about gun control because most people agree with the idea of using guns safely. Even card-carrying members of the NRA want guns to be safely used. So they totally are up for gun safety. But this, not so much, right? Diction matters. Word choice matters. You should use words that help clarify what you're writing about and what you're up against. But you should remember that others' way of thinking is not necessarily your own. Letting other people read your editorial can point out where they're confused and where your language might not be the reader's own, and so you might have to retool that, okay? So look, writing and argumentative writing and persuasive writing, editorial writing, you're not trying to inflame the opposition. So much of media today is designed to get you to click on things that make you angry because it earns the companies that own the things you're clicking on money. Don't click on the nonsense. Don't click on TMZ. Don't click on clickbait. Okay? Don't click on anything having to do with Kanye West. This is all a scam trying to get you to click on things that are not in your best interest or not in the best interest of this country. Our editorial is meant to bring people together, to create a conversation around the argument we're making, not to create enemies and foster more tribalism out of control and conflict. Kristoff's point 10. When your work is published, and it will be on our Canvas site, spread the word through social media, through emails, or any other avenues you can think of to get people interested in your work. So plan on doing that. Good luck. Read every single example that Kristoff cites so that you can see how to be a great editorialist. Good luck.